For the last couple of decades now, there's been a spiritual awakening going on throughout humanity, like all over the world. People have been waking up. It's a process, a spiritual awakening. You are constantly always going through the process. You will never finish the process. You know? As long as you're here on this earth, you're going through this process of spiritual awakening. But now, those who call themselves woke, listen to the term. It means that you're not busy with a process, you're already done with the process. And that's not true. That's false. We are all awakening. We are all waking up. But the whole woke attitude implies that you already know everything. You know what's what. You know what I mean? And it doesn't even really come from us. It's more something that's coming down from, these think tanks that, they come up with ideas of how they want the world to be. So they have these ideologies that they want us to accept so that we can accept the world that they want to create. And this wokeness is all part of it.
The sinister reason companies are going woke, and it's not what you think. Now, when Bud Light made headlines for turning against their primary customer base, costing them billions in market valuation from plummeting sales, many people thought it was a huge mistake, a blunder. Some, lower level marketing team made some mistake there, but then other companies started following suit. Target went hard for the kids, then North Face, now Chick-fil-A. So what is going on? Well, in this video, I'm going to explain what's really behind these companies' about face. And you would be surprised. It's not about the money. They don't care if they lose money. So your boycotts don't really work. We're going to look at who is pushing them, how they control the corporations we shop at, and of course, how we can turn the tide and stop being a victim and go build the world that we want. Recently, a video started going viral on Twitter. You might have seen it. It reveals why every corporation is actually going woke. Now, the video from the Daily Elevated, it breaks down what's called the Corporate Equality Index, or CEI. Now, the CEI is a tool used by the Human Rights Campaign, or HRC, a political lobbying group. Essentially, this index evaluates companies based on their dedication to creating a diverse and inclusive workplace, particularly concerning LGBTQ plus issues. Now, this all might sound innocent enough, right? I mean, in fact, many would argue that it's a great initiative aiming to make corporate culture more open and accepting. But here's the thing. It's a political campaign that's masquerading as a human rights foundation. And it requires putting your mission as a company in second place while you pursue a high social credit score. Now, the Human Rights Campaign wields its influence by sending representatives to companies every single year. And they don't just pop by for a friendly visit. No, they come armed with a list of things companies need to implement to maintain or increase their CEI score. Essentially, they're telling corporations what to make visible and public, or else risk receiving a lower score. And these corporations, they comply. But they aren't trying to get a good score out of the goodness of their hearts. They're forced into it because a lower CEI score can bring about a wave of backlash. Now, woke investor funds may start pressuring the board, and activists could begin protesting against the company for perceived outrages. Ad campaigns may get canceled. They might even face sanctions. Now, companies that continue to do business with a penalized company may also face repercussions. If the target CEO isn't woke enough, well, he won't just get pushed out, he'll also get blackballed from working anywhere else in the industry. Same goes for the executives. Now, these corporations, they need a high CEI score, and nothing else matters. Not profits, not the business, just that score. But there's a couple problems with this. For starters, it creates a very toxic work culture.
All right, and to emphasize what I'm talking about, notice this whole thing about wokeness, revolves a lot around the LGBTQ community and all that. But notice, it's really not about homosexuality. Like, no one has a problem with homosexuality. I mean, we all have homosexual friends. We don't have a problem, you know. But notice the issue with all the wokeness, it's not about homosexuality. It's about transsexual. It's about making it so easy and normal to, oh, change, and you can be a man, be a woman, and change. You know what I mean? It's about transsexualism. Why? Because that's not the issue. The issue is transhumanism. And that's why this whole thing, part of it is to make young people feel confused about life and gender and all this, and then to introduce the transhumanistic mentality that you can just change your body and merge with technology. That's the future. That's what's gonna make us godlike. And that's what I mean with this whole wokeness. It's not about the issues that they're making you triggered with. It's about something else.
My name is Chloe Cole, and I am a detransitioner. Another way to put that would be, I used to believe that I was born in the wrong body, and the adults in my life whom I trusted affirmed my belief, and this caused me lifelong, irreversible harm. I speak to you today as a victim of one of the biggest medical scandals in the history of the United States of America. I speak to you in the hope that you will have the courage to bring the scandal to an end and ensure that other vulnerable teenagers, children, and young adults don't go through what I went through. At the age of 12, I began to experience what my medical team would later diagnose as gender dysphoria. I was well into an early puberty, and I was very uncomfortable with the changes that were happening to my body. I was intimidated by male attention, and when I told my parents that I felt like a boy, in retrospect, all I meant was that I hated puberty, that I wanted this newfound sexual attention to go away, that I looked up to my brothers a little bit more than I did to my sisters. I came out as transgender in a letter I sent on the dining room table. My parents were immediately concerned. They felt like they needed to get outside help from medical professionals, but this proved to be a mistake. It immediately set our entire family down a path of ideologically motivated deceit and coercion. The gender specialist I was taken to see told my parents that I needed to be put on puberty-blocking drugs right away. They asked my parents a simple question: would you rather have a dead daughter or a living transgender son? When my specialist first told my parents that they could have a dead daughter or a live transgender son, I wasn't suicidal. I was a happy child who struggled because she was different. However, at 16, after my surgery, I did become suicidal. I'm doing better now, but my parents almost got the dead daughter promised to them by my doctors. My doctors had almost created the very nightmare they said they were trying to avoid. So what message do I want to bring to American teenagers and their families? I didn't need to be lied to. I needed compassion. I needed to be loved. I needed to be given therapy to help me work through my issues, not affirm to my delusion that by transforming into a boy, it would solve all my problems. We need to stop telling 12-year-olds that they were born wrong, that they are right to reject their own bodies and feel uncomfortable with their own skin. We need to stop telling children that puberty is an option, that they can choose what kind of puberty they will go through, just so they can choose what clothes to wear or what music to listen to. Puberty is a rite of passage to adulthood, not a disease to be mitigated. Today, I should be at home with my family celebrating my 19th birthday, and instead I'm making a desperate plea to my elected representatives. Learn the lessons from other medical scandals like the opioid crisis, to recognize that doctors are human too, and sometimes they are wrong. My childhood was ruined along with thousands of detransitioners that I know through our networks. This needs to stop. You alone can stop it. Enough children have already been victimized by this barbaric pseudoscience. Please let me be your final warning. Thank you.
Today's your birthday?
It is.
You're a beautiful, brave woman. Thank you for being here.
Here's what you do. Denounce this. Denounce the Dylan Mulvaney spokes thingies of the world. Denounce radical transgenderism. Because let's look at the numbers. We're talking about in that community. And by the way, within that community, Sheila, LGBTQ. As you know, we have groups like Gays Against Groomers. We have LGB without the T. Basically, lesbians, gays, and bisexuals saying, I'm not signed up for these radical transgender people, so many of whom appear to be mentally ill. That's not my bag, man. So I would say to Pierre Poilievre, that community en masse represents 2%. Let's say they're allies, people who aren't in that community but support it. Let's double it, 4%. That means 96% is on side with you denouncing this rubbish going on in schools. And Sheila, when I say rubbish, I'm not kidding. I mean, we've covered Durham District School Board protests at specific schools, elementary schools, where the school board libraries have books that have pornography. And no, I do not exaggerate. When you have a book about a father having sex with his 8-year-old daughter, how else can you describe that?
Why do parents and teachers think it's a good idea to teach children acceptance and inclusion of the gay community by putting us on display like a damn wild animal at the zoo in the form of a drag queen? If you want to teach your child acceptance and inclusion, why not teach them to be polite to the lesbian couple at the grocery store, or to be respectful of their gay neighbor? We do not want to be put on display, and drag entertainment is not for kids.